Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bother the Father with your fathers, Father Gerber, Father Schrader, and Father Schneier. We are happy to be with you and to continue the bothering that has been taking place for these past few weeks, months. It's been awesome to hear your questions. Again, if you want to hear, or if you have a question that you want us to answer, go on the Incarnate Word Parish website, click on Bother the Father, and submit your question. And hopefully one day your question too could be part of Bother the Father. So
if you want to apply a $20, attach a $20 bill to your question.
It's like the pass where you get to the front of the line.
Like Fast Pass or
first tracks when you're skiing.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So
I'm kidding.
Right. So this episode deals a lot with the Easter Triduum, which we just celebrated recently. A lot of those masses and services are so unique and have a lot of really specific elements that are only done on those specific days. So I know a lot of folks had questions about what they saw, what they encountered during the Triduum. So we are here, of course, to answer those things. So first question, why do people visit 7 churches on Holy Thursday? And can you talk about why people, or just talk about why people visit different churches on Holy Thursday?
You just took a group, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So the tradition of going to 7 churches on Holy Thursday originated in Rome. To go to different churches or stational churches throughout the night of Holy Thursday to continue that custom of really Jesus asking his disciples to watch and pray with him throughout the night. That's why we have the altar of repose where the Eucharist is, and why it's also meant to sort of look like and evoke a garden, because Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane all night. And so in Rome, people would visit different churches to sort of journey with Jesus throughout the night and to watch and pray with him. And typically they would do 7 churches. Now, that is easy to do in Rome, where if you just throw a rock, you've hit 2 or 3, which I got to do. I spent a Holy Weekend and Easter in Rome just before I was a deacon, and we hit up about 25 churches. It was nuts. It was awesome. But so for us, at least, we try to visit a few. I think we did 4 churches and Ted Drew's.
5.
Yeah, 5. 5 churches. And so, we had a great time doing that, going to different altars of repose and doing that. So really, that's where that tradition comes from. It's kind of hard to get to 7 churches in St. Louis, at least to drive at least in those distances between them. So just get as many as you can in, or if you're in the city and they're a lot more congregated, you might be able to do it there. But otherwise, we hit up 4.5 maybe churches, and had some ice cream too on the way. So
that's great.
That's really the tradition.
And there's part of the tradition too, the stational churches throughout Lent in Rome, where every day in Lent there's a specific church that people will go to and pilgrim to. So it's almost as if the Holy Thursday is the culmination of the entire season of stational churches. So,
absolutely. Next one. Why do priests lay on the floor on Good Friday? The next few are kind of about Good Friday.
Getting a nap in before the whole thing starts.
So why do priests lay on the floor on Good Friday?
So it's a sign of sorrow, a sign of reverence, in light of the cross of what Jesus has suffered for us, and there's nothing more humbling to do for in yourself. Than to lay on the ground. It's like the ultimate act of submission, of humility. So it's signifying us before the cross and before Christ crucified, showing our humility, our submission, and also our reverence for what he did for us. Now, some priests, it's kind of like the church gives us some latitude. In some parts of the Mass and other ceremonies, it'll say the priest does a profound bow. It doesn't say exactly 45 degrees or 3 inches above the ground. Here, the priest is invited to lay prostrate, but some priests may not get back up if they go all the way down. I remember one time Father Sullivan, he was up there and his feet got caught on his alb and he couldn't get any traction, so he couldn't get up. So we had to help him up. So why some priests maybe kneel, why some priests go all the way down, a lot of that has to do with, their physical condition. Yeah, exactly. But the idea is to do something extraordinary that shows that reverence and contrition and all of that.
Yeah. And it's even an ancient way of prayer too. And you would have people that would kneel during the consecration, and some would even lay prostrate even during the consecration, the elevation.
Well, and another time where we see people lying prostrate on the ground is at priestly ordination.
Exactly.
That profound gesture of self-offering, self-service, that's at the heart of ordination. The priests lie prostrate on the ground during the litany of the saints, as they are literally laying down their lives for you, the people of God. So it's an ancient gesture that has its, it works its way in at a few times throughout the church's calendar and really the church's lexicon. So
I've seen religious sisters, religious brothers do it as well, and not only at a profession, but again during prayer. It's actually something that the lay people can even do in their private prayer in the quiet of their room. Because you can kneel, you can stand, you can have the arms open like a cross, but you can also lie flat in prostration before our Lord. It's just one of the many postures of prayer. In fact. Yeah,
sort of like the planking craze from like 10 years ago. We've been doing it for 2,000 years. We've been doing it for 2,000 years, folks.
Well, one of the problems is people use like a pillow or something with a straight pattern. You don't want to do that because it'll make headlines. All right, next one.
On to the next. On that note, why don't all the priests dress in mass attire during Good Friday, wearing a cassock, surplice, and a stole, sort of like what we do for communion on Sundays? Why do the other priests dress like that?
I'll take it.
Sure.
It's so you have the main celebrant at the Good Friday service, and he's the principal celebrant, and the other priests and deacons, they are what is called in choir. They are attending, and that's actually when they wear a cassock and surplice and maybe even a stole. That's just the common attire for anyone who is attending the liturgy or who is sitting in choir.
Yeah, and the other nuance there is the Good Friday service is not a mass.
Right.
That's the biggest distinction we have to make. It's the one day of the year where we don't have mass. And the rubrics prescribe the celebrant to wear a normal chasuble like everyone else, but since there isn't anything for the other priests to con-celebrate because it isn't a mass, we would just attend in choir dress. So cassock and surplice, and then when the Eucharist is present or during those more profound moments, such as venerating the cross, the priest would put on a stole during those times. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the way for that.
And then there's a question about why don't the priests consume all of the host on Good Friday? Mm-hmm. One reason is that we reserve at least some host for that Good Friday, Holy Saturday, for those who are dying.
Yeah.
So the Eucharist can be brought to people who on Holy Saturday only to those who are in their final moments. Yep. So we want to have that available in case someone needs our Lord before they pass from this life. But the Eucharist is also removed from the church, so there is that void when you walk into church on Good Friday and Holy Saturday where our Lord is not in the tabernacle. The heart of the church, in one sense, is sort of vacant.
Yeah. And I was once and there's a practical purpose in addition to the sick, that I was once at a very large parish where they had consecrated, like 500 extra hosts than what were necessary, really. And that's just a lot of Eucharist for their priests.
You shouldn't be consuming that much.
Consuming that much. That's just a lot of hosts.
Yeah.
So.
Next one. Why is there a veil in the tabernacle since it tore on Good Friday?
Well, the veil on Good Friday was in the Holy of Holies.
In the temple.
In the temple, the Holy of Holies in the temple. And that veil, it was violet. It had gold embroidery, which depicted the 7 days of creation. When it tore open, it was literally signifying two things. One, the tearing of the old order, the old creation, and the inaugurating of the new creation. But then also it had the practical reality of that it was revealing the Holy of Holies, that was the Holy of Holies was seen as the place of God's dwelling, and now Jesus is revealing himself to be the Holy of Holies, that God's dwelling is among men, the Emmanuel. Now, why do we have veils at all? Because you have veils over a chalice, you have a veil at the bride, or even the girls on First Holy Communion. The veil is not hiding anything that's ugly, but it is actually accentuating that this is something beautiful, this is something to be cherished, where the bride, the girls receiving First Communion, the chalice, the tabernacle. This is something beautiful, this is something to be cherished, this is a place of holiness, and there is a hearkening to the Holy Holies because it is, the veil can be opened and there is God's dwelling in our midst. That's
yeah.
I tell the kids Jesus wants a little privacy. You know?
Yeah.
Everyone's always staring at him.
Little do not disturb sign on the tabernacle, maybe? No.
Just hang it from the key.
Yeah,
just do not disturb.
Do not disturb. Do not disturb. Well, we aren't opening it because he doesn't want to be disturbed. Maybe final question on this one. Why does one priest have the Mass and another priest give the homily during the Triduum? As you know,
laziness. Just laziness.
So as you know, one of us celebrated that service that night, and then another one of us would preach, and that's it was purely practical. As we said, just do one thing well. There are a lot of little nuances that the celebrant for those Triduum services has to be on the ball with, on so many things that only happen on that night. Plus, you have extra servers and training and things for that. It's a lot in addition to that to say, oh, you're writing a homily for this well, and right before Mass to be going over your homily in your head in addition to all of those things. So it was purely for practical reasons, and you can always have someone else preach, another clergyman preach at any Mass, really.
You do it Sunday.
Yeah, you can do it any Sunday you want. I mean, we did that when we preached on All Things New. Just the two of us would preach.
Or the deacon preaching.
Yeah, or a deacon preaches or anything like that. So it's really no different.
John, Father Schneider, you're going to preach my weekend masses this weekend, right?
That's going to be a
right?
no. That's going to be a no. That's a hard no on that. So anyway, we know that this is coming out in the Easter season. So again, a continuous happy Easter to all of you. Easter goes 50 days, folks. 50 is greater than 40. I did the math on that.
That's good.
And it shows us that that the resurrection always has the last word, and it is greater than our penance, greater than our sufferings. That the glory of the resurrected Christ transcends all of earthly sinfulness. Yeah. So once again, a happy Easter, a continuous happy Easter to all of you through the season of
and we
Easter.
know Incarnate Word will rise to the occasion.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah. We don't assume that.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
No, that's for Mary. That's for Mary.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're off your game.
I'm off.
You're off your game, man.
1 for 2.
One for 2. So anyway, hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for enjoying this episode of Bother the Father. Again, if you want to hear your question on this show, I guess this is a show.
Yeah, it's sort of like
a show.
Yeah.
Video, whatever. The video series. Go to the IW website, submit your question, and we will answer it here on air. Anyway, thanks so much. Have a great day.
God bless.
God bless.